Great news, chat. I'm ready to help tell a colorful tale. Chicory, a colorful tale. All Bats Glitchless by Hollow. Hey, Hollow, let's commit a crime.
I am so ready to commit a crime. You all met that incentive how many hours ago now? It's been a minute since that was met, and I'm just like, okay, we're doing this now. That's not until 15 minutes in the run, though. So this is Chicory. This game is like an adventure coloring book. I like to compare it to Zelda sometimes. First thing the game asks you is, what's your favorite food? And I'm going to go with ice cream. So don't want to hold us up too much. I'll start explaining the conceit of this game as we get going. Ready on time in 3, 2, 1, go. So we are the janitor to a very important person in this world, the Picnic Province, the Wielder. And all of the color just disappeared from the world, which is very concerning, and we're going to go check that out. Oh, look, it's the Wielder's brush on the floor. So that's the first crime we commit, but not the one you donated for. We'll get to that one later. We just took the Wielder brush and are now going to go around and try and solve some of the world's problems because we're a bit concerned that the Wielder, who we admire very greatly, is, you know, left the brush outside her room and doesn't seem to be coming out anytime soon. So anyway, the main conceit of this game is you have this paintbrush, and with it you can interact with the world. You can see a bunch of plants here that I am making grow or shrink by painting them or unpainting them in some cases. And that's going to allow us to solve various puzzles, move around the map. We're going to gain a lot more abilities later on, but first of all, this tree looks really scary, so we're going to go check that out. This game, despite looking cozy at first, is not always that. Here is our first corruption. You'll notice I have an auto clicker on. We allow turbo for this game, so I will be using that sometimes in the boss fights just to reduce the amount of inputs I need. Anyway, this is the first boss fight. These are all music synced, so I'm gonna talk about cycles a lot in terms of where the music is. And that's gonna be quite relevant later. Wow, that was really fast. But either way, you see I have to wait a little bit there for that point in the music for this eye to actually open up. There is some randomness in some of these fights. There might be a little bit in this one, but overall, not going to lose too much time in the first chapter, even if stuff goes wrong. Oh, wow, that was fast. Okay, never mind, we're saving time. Unless they don't want to let me hit them, in which case I will not be saving time. Okay. We're good. All right, good start. This is the second half of the fight, and we're actually going to waste a little bit of time here. Because if I wait on the fourth hit to this giant eye here, then, oh, I might be a little bit slow. There we go. I get to skip a cycle. So that's chapter 1. We're gonna pick up the brush again after we woke up in Blackberry's house there, and now our paint can glow in the dark, so we can traverse this cave. Going to focus a little bit, just for the next moment, so that I can make sure I'm not running into any walls.
While you avoid the walls, I want to say we got a $50 donation from Fuddle Bob that says, as an Australian, I have a patriotic duty to vote for the kangaroo. Also, fuck ICE. So that actually puts us over $1,000 total raised with the Legend of Zelda Oracle of Ages Animal Companion bid war. We are less than $200 between Ricky the Kangaroo and Dimitri the Dodongo that is currently in the lead. But chat, if you want to change that, make sure to mark those incentives for that bid war.
Sorry, that one, oops, I'm going the wrong way, wrong chapter. That one hasn't happened before. Sometimes if you skip a cutscene fast enough, oh, I did make it, okay. Sometimes if you skip a cutscene fast enough, some things on the screen will be not loaded. You can skip pretty much anything in this game, and that includes screen transitions, which is, saves about like half a second for every single screen transition in the game. On that one, I made a door deload, which was very funny. Anyway, you're going to see me painting a lot more of the world now than I did in Chapter 1. That's because in a moment, after we complete Chapter 2, we're going to gain the ability to swim in our paint. Very inspired by Splatoon, which the dev is a big fan of. Got a little puzzle to solve here, but I know the answer, so I'm just going to put it in as quickly as I can, but it's quite tricky. Same with this one. That one you want to do quickly, because if you don't, then there's a cutscene. This is the Wielder Temple. There are more scary trees around here, so we're coming to check that out at the request of some people, because now that we're the Wielder, we have to deal with the world's problems. Surely this will not have any adverse effects on our or anyone else's mental health. One more door here. In a casual playthrough, you'll need to explore the temple a lot more thoroughly to actually find these patterns that you need to input. But since I know all the answers, we are already here to the second corruption. Great. So there was one big eye in the last fight. Now there are two of them. And this song is very good. What can I talk about during this fight? Yeah, music of this game, made by Lena Raine, really fantastic. This game follows a lot of rule of threes with regard to how many times you hit things, at least early in the game. So we're going to be seeing that quite a lot. And again, just making sure I do everything quickly enough in time with the music so that I don't lose time, which unfortunately I might have lost a little bit. But sometimes you just get a little unlucky with timing or not painting precisely enough. This game is hard. You have to be moving with your left hand and painting with your right hand, or whichever control scheme you prefer. And so it's a lot to focus on sometimes, and that's going to become a lot more difficult once I start getting more abilities, especially being able to swim in my paint, and thus I'll be attempting to sort of paint in front of me whenever I go, and that's why I've been, again, painting the ground in some places a little bit early. Where are you going? Are you going to the left side? No, you're just going to the center.
Real quick, I wanted to say we have a $50 donation from Sakti that says fuck ice, and an anonymous $1 donation that says fuck ice. In chat, I want to remind you all, from $1 to $50 to $500, whatever it is, however much that you have and are able to give, that is enough. If all you can do is give us a view, that's all right too, but give me in chat your biggest fuck ice, because that is what we are here to do as we continue raising money for the Women's Foundation of Minnesota's Immigrant Rapid Response Fund.
Yep. All right, that's gonna be the end of this fight once I hit these eyes a few times. And there we go, that's chapter 2. Pick up the brush once more, and now we can swim. So stuff's gonna start getting a lot faster if I can paint in front of myself. Otherwise, it's gonna be a bit trickier, and I'm gonna have to focus a lot more on movement from here on out. We can now go through sort of small gaps, because when you're swimming, you're smaller, which is nice. You see there, I tried to go somewhere where I did not have paint. Which obviously means I cannot keep swimming because the paint ends. We're just gonna head back to the main town of Luncheon now to go check in with Chicory, who was the wielder before us. Or, well, basically still is the wielder, because we just sort of took the position. We're feeling pretty shy in purple, as she's gonna paint me, and we're gonna not paint her. There's a little sequence there where you draw a portrait of her, but you know, since we're speedrunners, we might as well not. And instead, head straight off to the third corruption and the Chapter 3 objective, which is in Gulp Swamp. This is a super fun movement section where we sort of go in all of these vines and swim around a lot. There's going to be a lot of sort of different places on the screen I have to paint, so I'm going to focus for a bit. Jess, if you have any donations, go right ahead.
Of course, we have $5 from Val. It says, good work, y'all. As the kind of person Ice would go after, I really appreciate it. We also had $50 from Peppermint that says, wow, your painting is so fast. Yay, Hollow.
Thank you, Peppermint. I can't tell if that's someone's actual username or if they're pretending to be the character in this game that we will see very briefly later.
You know?
Because Peppermint in the game would say that. I unfortunately did not successfully blow up those boulders enough to get the second bubble past them. These things can blow up rocks. Super useful. Anyway, there's another puzzle here. It's really dark in this room, but it doesn't matter because I know where I'm going. Never mind, I don't. What am I stuck on? There we go. Anyway. Chapter 3, this is where we get into spoiler territory with the bosses. And I'm going to turn on auto-click, and this is where cycles really start to matter. We can lose a lot of time on this fight just by not getting hits in quickly enough. But again, this is part of the reason we have auto-click on, because... oh my gosh. Getting all the necessary hits in this fight in the necessary amount of time is real tricky. Right. Not the fastest the first phase could be. I could have gotten one more hit in sooner, but the game's sometimes a little weird about registering hits. Either way. Second phase here, absolutely fantastic music. Have to wait for this sort of I don't know exactly what to call it. Incarnation of Chicory, manifestation of some of her mental health issues. Game's really good. This game is one of my favorites of all time, as I mentioned earlier when doing commentary for Unbeatable. Just an overall very important game. If you're a creative especially, or you have mental health struggles, I really think this game is worth a play. Even if you don't, it can help you to understand someone in your life who is a creative or does have some of those mental health struggles, or both. It's super meaningful, and we are losing time, unfortunately. But yeah, I love this game with all of my heart. Come on, shield down. There is some randomness to the boss fights. Oh wow, this is bad. There we go. Great. Sorry for the brief flashes at the end of chapters, by the way. That is unfortunately just what happens when I skip the cutscenes. Hopefully it is not too bad. Anyway, heading back out to luncheon now, because obviously something we perceived as Chicory just attacked us, and we would like to talk to her about that, because that's concerning.
You did bring up peppermint and things, and then also our character's name is our favorite food, so I would like to encourage chat if you would like to share with us some of your favorite foods or what your name would be if you were playing Chicory. Send it in your donations. We'd love to hear it. Just like this donation from Jolene Wax that says, fuck ICE and own this run, Hollow. Sending $10 to the Women's Foundation of Minnesota's Immigration Rapid Response Fund. And fuck ICE, yeah.
Jolene is a music friend of mine. Anyway, you ready to commit a crime? I'm ready to commit a crime. This is Dinners. We're gonna get a transit pass here, because fast travel is good. Our birthday is June 30th, because it always is, and that's the easiest thing to click. Anyway, we have a transit pass now. But there's this adult here, who is definitely an adult. who wants to go on cool adult adventures, which aren't even that cool because they go on them all the time as an adult. But they want our transit pass. Why not? Anyway.
Is that our crime? Is that the crime that we commit?
It sure is. Thank you for donating $1,312 for that to happen. And our good friend, the Rhino here. Let me just. Sorry, I need a smaller brush for this. There's some dialogue I skipped where he tells you not to vandalize it. So, yeah. Anyway. Thank you for donating. Means so much. I've been working a lot behind the scenes on this event, and seeing it all come together, and you all just with your absolutely incredible support for the Immigrant Rapid Response Fund in just the first like 7 or 8 hours of this event has been incredibly fulfilling, and I'm so proud of what we're all able to do when we come together as a community. Okay, on to the next section. This is Grub Deep, a section that, if you have played this game casually, you might either remember for its very good music, which we will unfortunately not be hearing very much of, or how annoying these rock bugs are. But there's some good news on that front, because we have, over the course of a few years, discovered some very useful skips that are gonna save probably multiple minutes, realistically. First one's going to be on just a couple screens from now. I need to do a lot of things here and not swim back down that vine. And push this bubble onto the rock bug. Come on, wake up. There we go. They have spots that they like to sit most of the time. Anyway. So I'm just going to do that real quick. And then come over here and do that. And now we're basically out of Grub Deep. This is a glitchless category, but geometry exploits are well and truly allowed. We'll be seeing quite a few of those. Stop! Where are you going? They are not being very cooperative today, but it's okay. They like eating paint. Who's to blame them? I enjoy food as well.
While we abuse some of this geometry, I want to actually tell chat how they can make sure to mark their incentives, because we keep saying that. So when you use !donate in chat, and you fill in all your information, so if you want to be anonymous, just leave that one blank. Put in your email. Opt into emails from Women's Foundation of Minnesota. I think you should do that. Put in your donation amount. $1 is our minimum amount. Anything else you're able to spare is good. You can leave us a comment or leave it blank. And then right underneath that, we have incentives. And so what you have to make sure that you have a number put in the amount first, and then you can click add incentives, and that shows up then all the incentives that are active. So right now, we have that Choose Link's Animal Companion open with Dimitri the Dodongo right now in the lead, but Ricky the Kangaroo is catching up, as well as we have Windswept meet the Animal Companions.
Oh, let's get that one.
Yeah, we're about $626 out of the 1,000 needed there. And the great news is, chat, you can actually split your donations if you want. So you could do $5 towards the bid war. You just type in the amount that's separate and then also put in money towards Windswept. So if you want to have major impact, you're able to do both. You do have to make sure that you put in a number for the amount towards the incentive and click the button that says add in order for that to go through. And then click your donate and do all your payment information and everything on there. But that is how you can make sure to mark those incentives for the direction that you want to go.
Getting into probably one of the trickiest boss fights in the game here, as we face sort of our mirrored self here. And have to contend with sometimes having to hit them on the other side of the screen. But other times on our side of the screen, as you can see, our paint is being mirrored constantly here, and they're going to start moving around a whole lot, and I'm going to have to adapt to where they are in order to keep hitting them through this last part of the fight here. This fight sort of has like 2.5 phases. Oh, that was very fast. Good stuff. All right. So that was all us helping out some bugs underground. And now we can swim up walls. I'm going to be mashing space or the jump key to do it a little bit faster. Also going to try and get a diagonal screen transition and save just a little bit of time there. I unfortunately clicked out of my window very briefly. I am running on max, so there's a little thing that pops up in the bottom right of the screen if I ever go too far down, but oh well. Hardest trick in the run, painting this wall. There we go, that was quick. And we're going to see our first use of the transit pass to go back to luncheon, because, you know, we should check in on Chicory, because she wasn't doing so hot the last time we saw her. In these spaces, our paint doesn't really stay on the ground very well, but if we're quick enough with it, we can still use it to swim, which is a little bit faster than jumping places. Chicory's having a bit of a time right now. We're just gonna sort of avoid her lashing out for the next couple minutes. So Jess, now is a fantastic time for more donations. And I do also just want to say to chat, I guess, let's meet that windswept incentive. The animal companions in this game are super cute, so if you think Chicory's super cute, we got more cute animals later coming your way. And yeah, take it away.
I'm so excited for the windswept run as well. We had $25 from Anonymous, who's also excited for those animals, says meet the animals, melt the icicles, and I could not agree more. We also had a handful of donations come in with no comment, $10 from Anonymous and $50 from Anonymous with no comment, but thank you so much for your generosity. We also had $25 come in from Silamp and another $25 from Zoes. Each of those as well, no comment, but you don't need to leave a comment because I can guarantee you that chat will say fuck ice as much as they will. And as much as we should say fuck ice for you, even if you don't leave a message. But if maybe you're like Cohen, and maybe you're a little bit averse to swearing, you can send in a $20 donation that says heck ice. I agree with that as well. And honestly, I feel like sometimes it hurts a little bit more when you don't use swears. Sometimes you're just like, now you've done it.
Honestly, frick ice.
Frick ice. Heck 'em.
Oh, tricky little dodges there. Right. Coming on toward the end of this boss in Chapter 5 now. I haven't been hit yet, but I will note that for anyone who wants to, I'm going to keep track of how many times I get hit and probably donate $5 for each. If you want to match that with $5 or $1 for each hit, that's totally fine. It would be greatly appreciated. Anyway, so on to Chapter 6. Everyone say hi to Pickle, the best NPC in the game. This is objectively true. We're going to head over through Tea Time Meadows to get to the first of the Wielder Trials, of which there are 4 in each corner of the map. Or, sorry, 4, 1 in each corner of the map. And the first one we're going to is the northeast one. There's Peppermint, who I mentioned earlier. They are a big fan of us and our art, which is wonderful. Another great NPC. Every NPC in this game is great. Play this game. The writing is very funny. The vibes are cute all around, except when they aren't. But cute games are often made so much better for having their moments where they are getting a lot more real. And again, lots of really good thoughts on the creative process and emotions and such. And it means a lot to me. Oh, didn't get the cutscene skip, but that's fine because we have a skip cutscene button. Anyway, I'm going to focus for a moment here as I take all of this fire around and burn up some leaves so that I can progress through this corruption. And try not to get it in the water because, believe it or not, water puts fire out, which is, you know, not ideal, considering fire melts ice. And also burns leaves, but that's not what we're here for. Just something I need to do along the way. I am getting stuck on a wall. But there we go. This is going to be our last boss fight for a while. We're going to fight Blackberry in a moment. Once again, going auto-clicker road, as we need to get a lot of hits in each phase of this fight. And we're able to like skip some sub-phases by clicking fast enough. This is probably my favorite boss fight in the game. It's really fantastic. The music is great. The attacks are super interesting to avoid. I love it a lot. We are going to unfortunately see her dive into the ground twice per phase. If we see it 3 times per phase, that's bad. But, oop, first hit. Flew a little too close to the sun there. That's 1 on the tally, $5 from me.
Matt, we're so close to $12,000 total raised. We're just like a little under $100 of the way there. So like, can we get that? I don't know, before the end of this boss fight. I don't know how long this boss fight is. I believe in us.
We're about halfway through phase 2, so you have maybe like 40 seconds.
40 seconds. Chat, we can do it.
30 seconds. Go. Speedrun your donations. Donate with what BPM you think this track is. I know the answer. BPM being beats per minute. It's very fast. Oop. Right. A little bit of a guessing game as to where Blackberry will pop up after those attacks. I have not been counting, but we need to hit her sort of like 56 times, I think is the number. I'm not sure if that's exact every single time or not, but we should be nearly there now. Yep, there we go. That's chapter 6. Heading now to chapter 7. We're gonna go right back over this way and actually not use fast travel, because the fastest way to get to the next trial is actually just going straight down here to Banquet Rainforest. Overall, much more relaxing area than Brunch Canyon, where we just were, but I am going to have to unfortunately not relax and focus very hard on some of this movement, as I need to push these plants around. Oops, I flipped up left. I needed to flip left. Oops. But the vibes of this area are just fantastic. Painted too early there. I'm trying to erase you. But not succeeding. Anyway, we have to collect 4 of these brush flowers, which are hidden around the rainforest. Oop, I flipped into some water that was not painted there, and you can't do that. Oh, come on. You can see I'm trying to go a little bit fast, and these things are a bit finicky with where you paint them, so I am unfortunately losing a little bit of time here, but no worries at all. More time for everyone to donate.
We are so close now. We're less than $70 away from breaking 12K raised so far.
Let me through. There we go.
We had $25 from Melavara that says trans rights and fuck ICE.
Trans rights and fuck ICE. If I can be frank for a moment, being a trans person is, as most people here are probably aware, quite scary at the moment. As we see this crackdown on immigration, it can sometimes feel like we're next, but the most important thing is always that we stand together and stand up, because as the classic poem goes, like, first they came for, then they came for, and we're stronger together. Oh, I talked to Chicory by accident. And after all, I am not particularly at risk of being deported for being an immigrant, but I go to a community college, which has a very high population of immigrant and international students. We started classes just this week, and there are multiple students in one of my classes who are immigrants or international students. Like especially two of my classmates in my writing course are from Haiti, and that's obviously a population of immigrants who have been like particularly under attack from the administration that is unfortunately in control of this country we live in. And I went one screen too far because I was talking, but standing together is incredibly important, and making people know that they're safe and welcome around you.
We are so much stronger together, and existence should not be illegal.
Yes. I think a wonderful part of this game's world in particular is just how accepted everyone is. Oop. Can I save it? No. Missing a couple cycles there, but oh well. Anyway, we're heading up to Chapter 8's trial here, or, well, the trial we were doing is Chapter 8. You can do these in any order. But we're going to climb a mountain. These flowers are really nice and helpful, and were added specifically for speedrunners so that they can paint these walls quicker, which we very much appreciate the devs for. I'm going to save and quick to title to just reset a cycle real quick, and that'll save a little bit of time. You'll see that quite a few times throughout Chapter 8.
I just want to say we have a $25 donation from Zonk.
Hi, Zonk!
Zonk says, "Hey, Hallow! Super cool to see you running Greg Beastie Ball's other game, which I swear I'll play someday for a great cause. My partner also says hi and fuck ice."
Fuck ice. Thank you so much, Zonk. I almost flipped off the edge there. Zonk is a fellow runner of the next game by the same developers that made Chicory, Beastie Ball. Currently in early access, also a very fantastic game if you like very subtle anti-capitalist vibes. Actually, they're not very subtle now that I say that, but it's a great time.
You're also $37 away from 12K.
Let's go.
Getting us closer, Tater Dash with $5, trans rights,
oh my gosh, that is the first time I have ever saved that cycle.
Let's go. It's because of the trans rights and the fucking ice.
And I unfortunately left the screen too early, so I need to go back and lost time anyway, but that's okay. I did it again. Nope. These bubbles are notoriously annoying to control. There we go. Oh. Spaghetti everywhere at the moment. That's okay. We are almost up the mountain. A little bit further to go, but... just waiting out these wind cycles so that they're blowing in the correct direction for us to get the distance we need on our jumps. Bit of a tricky screen here as we have to sort of get it while the wind is changing. I was a little bit early there. I was not actually on the geyser there. There we go. Okay, there's a couple more screens here now as we reach the top of the mountain.
I want to remind people as well, we're only $313 away from meeting the animal companions in Windswept. So if you're enjoying the animals here in Chicory, and you want to see more of them in Windswept, make sure that you scroll down and apply your donations to the incentive Meet the Animal Companions. We'd love to see Hugh the Chameleon, Nugget the Dog, Scree the Bat, Blupo the Dolphin, and Nippo the Crab in the upcoming Windswept run.
They are all so cute. Please donate for that. One more trial to go. We are on chapter 9 of 10 in this game. I'm abusing the fact that I spawned in water on these screens to just sort of flip across and not have to worry about painting. But here we are in Spoon's Island. I'm going to set my brush size a little bit smaller so I can paint more precisely. But we are going to be dealing a lot with these platforms that move up and down when we paint the little dots on the floor. A very tricky movement section overall. Easy to just sort of bleed time here and there. Especially when there are bubbles involved. Thankfully, this is the only one. I unfortunately went to the wrong one because I am talking too much, but oh well. More puzzles we know the answer to, thankfully. So I'm just going to go around and solve all of those real quick. Oh gosh, it's right to here. And then those 3. These ones are always a little bit hard to remember, and if you mess it up, you unfortunately do lose time because you have to sort of go back from screen to screen to fix it. But we got there, and I've de-rusted enough to remember that, thankfully. I've not done very many runs recently, but I did get like not very. I was 4 seconds off PB on a run I did last night, which was very impressive. But also there is some new tech in the final boss, which we'll be seeing in a bit, which is going to save quite a lot of time. Just in the meantime, finishing up chapter 9 first. Oop. Missed my paint there. There we go.
You're still just $37 away from our 12K raise so far. I'd love to beat that baby before we finish
We'll
this.
just hit that before the end of the run.
Absolutely.
It won't be before the end of the chapter because the end of the chapter is here.
I was about to say the end of the chapter, and then I was like, wait, no.
The end of this chapter is very doable because this is the last chapter of the game and it is by far the longest. We are going to head back to luncheon now that we are officially like the wielder, now that we've done some like due process and done the wielder trials, which are supposed to happen before we receive the brush, but unfortunately that didn't happen for us. But we can do them now. So, heading back to luncheon, and this is sort of the central point of all the corruption. Oh, the adults here. Glad to see them. Anyway, we should destroy the brush, actually. So we're heading into this real big tree here. Going to be just sort of going through here as fast as possible. I can't skip the cutscenes anymore because if I do, I actually won't progress through this sort of infinite maze type thing. Unfortunately, I did skip the cutscene there, so I might have lost a screen of time. Our paint is getting eaten more quickly and we're moving more slowly because we're sort of dreading whatever's going on here. I also need to find out sometime if you can move diagonally. But anyway, little bit of a volume warning for a moment from now, as the brush is not taking kindly to our suggestion that we should destroy it, and it's going to leave. So that's concerning. All of the color is once again fading from the world. And we need to get back to luncheon to try and confront everything that's going on, which is very difficult, it turns out, without our brush, because we have none of those powers that we've gone around and gained during the game. But thankfully, we have a resident of luncheon here, Lemon, coming to help us cross the river. all the residents of Luncheon are coming out here to sort of cheer us on. Or cheer us up even, because, I mean, we're certainly not doing so hot right now, but what do you do if your magic paintbrush abandons you? You grow a new one. So I have my mouse all the way up in the top left of my second monitor, which is positioned to the top left of my screen, and that's going to make this tree grow very quickly. With that said, final boss fight coming up, so I'm going to drink some water.
While you hydrate, reminder that you're watching ICEBreaker, which is a rapid response fundraising marathon benefiting the Women's Foundation of Minnesota's Immigrant Rapid Response Fund. Exclamation point charity in chat if you want to learn more. Exclamation point donate now if you would like to come together in solidarity with those on the streets of the Twin Cities during ICE's occupation of Minnesota. And we just hit 12K raised so far. Thank you, chat, so much. Right before the final boss with the $50 donation from Anonymous that says, fuck ICE.
All right, entering the final boss fight here with the Corrupted Brush. This one has a lot of phases, so I'm going to sort of go over them as we get through them. But overall, throughout the fight, you're going to see me trying to, at least when the brush is the brush itself and not taking on someone else's form, trying to be as close to it as possible to sort of reduce the amount of time it spends moving around the screen. I got a fourth hit in there. Oop, another hit. I think that's 2 so far this run. $10. I may get hit several times in this fight because it is the hardest one in the game, after all. I mean, it's the final boss. Has to be difficult. Gonna chase us here. A section that is made significantly harder by auto-click being on, but the fact of the matter is the rest of the boss is made a lot easier, so I don't exactly ever remember to turn it off. Oh, that was close. Anyway, phase 2. Our evil self is back, and this time we have to hit them diagonally. Unfortunately, they are not being cooperative in getting on their brush quickly, so I'm just going to keep hitting them until they do. There we go. And we're going to hope for some fast attack patterns and fast bubbles to knock them off their brush. There we go. They actually popped their own bubble there, which was super nice. Anyway, here's the next phase, which is Chicory. You'll notice we can't actually really hit her right now. As she is too strong for us, which is not exactly fortunate. I'm gonna make sure that I don't skip the upcoming cutscene too fast, or else I will soft lock the game, but thankfully we're good. And so now here's the real Chicory to help us. I'm gonna leave my mouse off to the side, but auto-click is gonna stay on because it is gonna help us significantly for this fight. Did I get hit again there? I was not keeping track. Waiting for our Chicory to sort of catch the opposing Chicory so that we can actually get some hits in on them. There's some actually like pretty nasty RNG we found out with regard to which of Chicory's throws actually work. So you can get these phases really fast sometimes, but other times they'll be a little bit slow. Bit close there. There we go. That was a pretty decent phase. Moving on to the Blackberry phase, and here's the part where I tell you that I'm scamming you a little bit because we're actually going to get hit intentionally a bunch on this phase. The reason for this is if we take 2 hits and thus die, Chicory's next throw at Blackberry will always succeed. So that's 4 hits in just this phase of the fight alone. Go on. There we go. This is tech that we discovered and actually implemented in the run for the first time literally last night, despite the fact that our resident thing about games knower, Jay Davis, did find this back in 2021. Oh, I need to remember to actually die. That's 5 hits and 6 hits. I was instinctively just sort of going for it there, but I need to not do that because I can make this a lot faster. Anyway, final phase of the fight here, or final big super phase, where it's the brush again, and they're going to come at us with the history of all of the wielders who have taken hold of this brush over the years, and come at us with tons of different attacks that we haven't seen so far. And we're just gonna wait and dodge until Chicory can catch them. Oop, that one was not intentional. If I die here, it is worth noting that is actually quite bad because I'll basically have to restart the full phase over, and that's a decent amount of time lost, but thankfully, whenever we get one of those hits in, we do recover our health. We know more or less when the catch is going to take place. It's going to be after the next, like, sort of abstract shapes attack, which should be starting here. Gosh, I've been hit a lot today. That was very much not intentional. But this attack is a bit tricky with how they sometimes just sort of pop up right in front of you. Anyway, it should be about now. Yep. One more phase. These vines are quite tricky to dodge. Again, final boss, no joke. Oop. That was a tricky one. And I could not see that one. Thankfully, though, we're good. And time.
GG.
I forgot to give a volume warning. I am so sorry. That is a lot of cutscenes happening at the same time, I think, and it is quite loud. Okay. Wow. That felt like a pretty good final. That felt like a pretty good run. What was my final time?
Looks like 47:08.
Wow, that is less than a minute off of PB, and we committed a crime.
Heck yeah. So that was 5 unintentional hits. How many total hits did you take intentionally during that boss fight?
6 of them intentionally, so that's 11. I'll be donating $55 in a moment. If anyone else wants to match that with any amount of money per hit, that would be so greatly appreciated because as someone with some ties to Minnesota, between a sister who's currently there for school and a lot of friends who live there in the speedrunning community, it's a scary place for anyone to live right now, and we need to fight off this invasion with everything we can, and just make sure we're offering all of the support that the affected groups of people need in this time. As someone from Boston, there's been a sort of, I think, daily protest outside of the local ICE facility, and they've recently had a pretty large delivery of trucks, it seems, so I think it's probably going to keep getting worse a lot of places before it gets better. So the most important thing, I said this earlier during Unbeatable, but I'm going to say it again, build your local community. Support, get to know your neighbors, support each other, support the people around you, because, again, we're stronger together. And in a time where the government seems to have turned its back on pretty much all of its citizens. The power's in our hands to make things right.
Thank you so much, Hollow, for that. And if the people would like to support you, in addition to continuing to watch to support ICEBreaker, where can they find you?
Well, I'm going to be working on this pretty much all weekend. But if you want to follow my streams, I'm going to be doing a bunch more Chicory runs in the near future, probably, as well as a whole lot more Beastie Ball runs. And I am on Twitch just as Hallow.
Awesome. Thank you so much for all the work that you've put in. Like, I mean, you did commentary slightly earlier and you did this absolutely amazing run. Chat, do not go far, but make sure to stock up on some of your, cute animal incentives, because we've got a couple of great runs with different animal companions coming up along the way. So don't go far.